Well, the Minnesota Supreme Court is reconsidering changing a rule that doesn't allow cameras inside a courtroom for criminal proceedings before a sentencing, unless all parties agree. News 19's Crystal Flintrop spoke with legal experts to learn more.
Minnesota traditionally has had a very restrictive rule on cameras in the courtroom. That's different than, let's say, Wisconsin, North Dakota, some of the neighboring states.
Following the highly televised trials of ex-police officers Derek Chauvin and Kimberly Potter, the Minnesota court system is now reevaluating that rule to allow video and audio recordings in the courtroom.
I think the negatives that people point out are, especially in the criminal law area, that for victims to have to go through the process would be on somebody who was a victim of a crime to be testifying. That is can be something people are concerned with.
He explains if that rule were to change, stipulations would most likely be in place to protect the jury and the victim. But this change could bridge the gap between the people and the judicial system.
If we're going to have trust in our legal system, if we want the citizens of our country, our state, our country to have trust in the legal system, why not have proceedings?
And the change could educate Minnesotans.
Well, I think having the ability to see actual court proceedings educates the public as to how our courts really work. And it is still a pretty impressive process when you think about it, how our justice system works, particularly because much of what we see about how courts operate is fictionalized. It's not true to life.
But ultimately, he says the people have the right to know.
It's important that we allow cameras in the courtroom because the courtrooms are paid for by taxpayers. They pay for the court, they pay for the judge, they pay for the prosecutor, sometimes even for the defense attorneys. It's the public's right to know what has happened, what happens in these processes, and having cameras in the courtroom is the way to do that.
In La Crosse, I'm Crystal Flintrop, News 19.
The Minnesota Supreme Court took public opinions by survey on the topic last month, and they held a public hearing earlier today.